You can see now that we have our pegs fit and ready to be domed, and have the holes drilled for the strings.
Go.
Okay, now I'm going to make a series of pencil lines on the pegs, which I will explain momentarily. Okay, now mark each peg so you know which hole to put it back into with a pencil. We'll mark this G, D, A, and E. And remove the pegs. Put the fiddle aside for now. Okay, you can't really see the lines, but the outer line, the closest one to the edge, is where we're going to saw the pegs off. And the other lines are reference points for applying a very small amount of Hill peg compound, also known as peg soap. So for saws, we have all sorts of options. One of them, of course, is a band saw. One of them would be a Japanese type saw, which is pretty good, but even this saw can chip the ebony. Ebony is very brittle wood, so I'm going to use a saw that's actually made for cutting grooves in nuts. It's made for sawing through ebony, in other words. And I don't think you need to see a lot of sawing video, but I'll saw a little bit for you and then do the rest off of video. Gotta love that sound. Okay, what we have, if we can get a good focus here, are 4 pegs that are kind of rough at the ends. Now, while this might be okay for reenacting, perhaps in fact, pegs were probably made with penknives in many cases, but we're going to actually do what I call a rustic dome on the pegs, because my equipment for doing a really nice dome on the ends of the pegs is back at the main shop. So, first thing we want to do is cut off any rough sections. The reason we want to do that is because once we take this to our sanding board, this is a piece of medium density fiber board, also known as MDF, which you can see is well used, with a piece of 80 grit sandpaper glued to it. It's actually a sticky back type of sandpaper that you can get in woodworking shops. So I'm going to cut the burrs off so that we don't end up chipping the pegs when we sand them as part of the first process of doming them. For all work that requires a knife, I generally use a utility knife like this, and always make sure I have a sharp blade. Difference between a sharp blade and a dull blade is often either a ruined piece or a bloody finger. So, what we do is sand the pegs basically flat. Not basically flat, literally flat. Just about up to the line that we drew earlier. Now the next step is to apply a very small, I mentioned this earlier, a very small amount of peg soap. And please do not use ivory soap or some other kind of soap. Use actual peg compound. And the only kind that I've found that I can recommend is called W.E. Hill. Well, a composition for pegs which have ceased to run smoothly, to be applied sparingly, made in England. Well, we use a little bit of this before they don't run smoothly, to ensure that they do. Looks like brown lipstick. And just dabbing it on between those other sets of lines that we drew earlier. When I say dab, I mean just dabbing it on. If you put too much on, your pegs are going to slip. Good news is you can clean this stuff off fairly easily with alcohol. Okay, doesn't have to be really neat, you just need to get it around the circle of the peg. Now you don't need to watch me doing all 4 pegs, so I'm going to join you in a few minutes after I've put peg compound on each of the pegs.